Simple is hard. Breaking things down to their essentials is hard because it takes thinking and effort to kind of see the whole chain of events of something. You know, you have to pay attention. So what I want to talk about is how to get better at breaking down practicing to the essentials so that you can work on what really needs work and not waste years, working on the wrong things and not getting any better. So here's an example. Let's just say a trumpet player is having difficulty improving his fast eighth note playing, right? He wants to go but and he practices every day with the metronome. He's doing the work. He's playing throughout his whole range of his instrument, but his playing is not getting smooth and consistent the way he's hearing it. What would you have him do? Just keep at it? Turn the metronome up? What would be your suggestion? Well, I think the first step is to find the root difficulty, the root cause of what's preventing him from sounding the way he wants to. Now, he might think he just doesn't have good time. Maybe he does, and the problem is somewhere else. So how would we know if the time is the issue? Maybe what I'd ask him, I'd take the horn away, and I'd ask him to just tap his fingers on a table, right? Just use, index finger quarter notes or eighth notes to kind of get a sense of his time. So maybe he actually does have great time. Now what? Well, as a brass player, right, I'd listen to his articulation, because that's where you start to break things down. Where's his tongue hitting? Is he moving his jaw around while he plays? I'm just trying to see his mechanics at this point. Now let's say his mechanics are getting in the way. So he's going to need to figure out some exercises, probably slow ones, to strengthen and focus his articulation. And those exercises are going to give him a deeper look into what's happening when he's playing. He's so used to playing fast eighth notes in his practicing, he doesn't know what's happening when he's playing deliberately slow. Now, you might not be a brass player, right? And you're sitting here wondering how relevant this is. Well, it's relevant because most every problem has a cause that's not obvious. Most complex problems, at least. So you want to get good at breaking things down deeper and deeper to find the actual root of the problem, no matter what instrument you play. Let's go back to our trumpet player. Maybe we still haven't gotten to the root cause of him not being able to play sustained, smooth eighth note lines. Maybe his air is weak and he's relying on his tongue and his mouth too heavily. Because for a horn player, the air is the engine. But again, this isn't a lesson about trumpet technique. I'm trying to bring your attention that by paying more attention to the result, you'll more easily find the cause of a problem. A good first step is to resist blaming the problem on what you hear as an end result, the obvious, thing you're listening to. Our trumpet friend wasn't able to smoothly play eighth notes. The wrong approach would have been just to keep banging the metronome, right? That's why I said earlier, should just turn it up, right? That wouldn't be the right thing to do. It goes back to doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting, a different result. That's a good mantra to hang on the wall. Look at the chain of events from what happens first to last in a process. Can you see those layers? It's like a mechanic opening up the hood of your car, right? Things are all laid out so he or she can kind of see what's happening in terms of the entire process to figure out why it sounds like this or why it's not running. What is the root cause? Let's do one more example. Let's say a piano player stumbles when trying to play simple tunes starting on random notes. Right? She's doing, the Improvisation Savvy ear training method, but she's stumbling on a lot of the notes. And she's concluded that she just doesn't have a good ear, right? I can't do it. I just don't have a good ear for it. But I wouldn't assume that. What I would do is I would start by removing the piano. So now remember, just like we did with the trumpet player, we removed the horn. A lot of times the way you get down to those essentials is by getting rid of the non-essentials things. So in this case, let's remove the piano from the entire equation and ask her simply to sing the tune. You know, when I talk about simple tunes, I'm talking about Mary Had a Little Lamb, Happy Birthday, Jingle Bells, you know, those type of tunes. Now, when she's singing it, if she stumbles over that, she just doesn't know the tune. Really, she doesn't hear the tune. That's the problem. So now what does she do? Well, what I might have her do is read the music while she plays and sings, right? Because she's not, if we're not a singer, we're not good sight singers. So just having the music and singing from it. So I'm giving her the crutch of the piano while she sings it. Now, my advice is to say, look away from the piano as soon as possible. Stop, look away from the music as soon as possible. And then just sing it. She wants to get to the point where she can sing it with complete confidence and without thinking about it at all. You could wake her up in the morning at 3 o'clock and say, sing that tune and start on ba. All right, you may not want to do that, but that would be the goal. Now, after all of that, I'll bet she gets good at playing that tune from those random starting places because we discovered and then did something about the root cause of what was preventing her from doing that. You've got to be a good teacher for yourself. And this, what I'm describing here, is a good tool for making you better as your own teacher. Remember, you're your only 24/7 teacher. You can, and it's a good idea to have someone that you see, on a weekly basis, and they can be an objective observer and giving you feedback, and that's very valuable, but they're not living with you 24/7, listening to all the things you do. You have to be able to break problems down to their underlying cause to be an effective teacher for yourself. You've got to be able to see that whole process. Remember that mechanic that opened up the hood. So, think about this for things that you may be struggling with right now. You may be beating the wrong thing when you practice on it. Like I just said, hammering the metronome. And by the way, you don't really think that finding the root cause applies only to music and musicians, right? Thanks.